Amnesia, The Dark Descent is a classic horror game. Even at just 13 years old, its status as the original viral YouTube horror game and its influence on the genre easily cements it as such. But it's not the only one, and right now you can play a brand new game in the series that takes it all back to the basics in the best ways. Previous Amnesia titles have progressively gotten weaker in my opinion. Even Soma, by the same studio, which I think is a high point for writing in the medium of video games, somewhat lacks in the gameplay department. So, when I heard that The Bunker was really stripping things back to the narrative basics, I got a bit worried. Even when speaking with Thomas Grip, creative director at Frictional Games, in a recent conversation I got to have with him, he said, with Soma, there was this persistent pressure to replicate the horror feel of The Dark Descent. I think we would have made a better game if that pressure was dropped. And our games have always strived to narrate the story as a first-person experience. Simplistically, The Dark Descent is, what if I am the bad guy? Soma explores, am I conscious? And Rebirth confronts you with, what is the value of an unborn life? Some pretty heavy stuff. So when he next said to me that The Bunker follows this pattern too, but with a less complex theme, the story, Escape the Bunker, is simple. Let me tell you, I was thinking, is this even gonna work? I trepidatiously booted up the game and began my descent. Several hours later, I realized I was playing a game that wasn't just as good as the original Amnesia, but might even be better. Whilst I was busy being worried that without the huge, bulky themes of previous games it'd suffer, Irrational crafted an excellent game. It's a perfect horror experience. I feel like I have control over the character at all times, but everything I do feels like a risk. Reloading my gun is slow and arduous. Getting around is tied to a metaphorical and literal timer with the generator. Even using a torch is loud, long, and temporary. Even the way the monster is handled is expert. It's a really scary game that appears really simple on the surface. It reminds me of my favorite movie, John Carpenter's The Thing. You're trapped in isolation with something you just can't escape, and whilst you can draw out many readings and themes from it as a viewer, the main focus is pure survival. As someone who's long gone off the Amnesia series, I have to say, I wasn't expecting to recommend this game as much as I am, and I recommend it quite a lot. But speaking of Carpenter's The Thing, did you know there was a PS2 game made for that? Yeah, you play as military members searching the aftermath of the events of the movie. This game was made like 10-15 years after the film came out. I'm a constant advocate for the remaking of this game, as I truly believe that the hideous creatures, complex infection mechanics, and combat were too ahead of their time for the PS2, as great a system as it was. I'd love to see this idea done for the latest gen, and given the justice that it deserves. Some other facts about the game though. Carpenter, the big gamer that he is, has stated that he considers this to be the true sequel to his film over the comics, and there was even a Game Boy version of the game planned that was sadly canned. But god damn, would I have loved to see what they did with that. It could be hard to tell who's real and who isn't, but at the end of the day, what even counts? Can you prove those around you are really there? If I think, therefore I am, how can you prove that they think? How can you even prove that you're thinking? Are those thoughts, or are you just being fed stimulus? Does that count? What's the difference? Could you reach out and wave your hand right through yourself? If you look at electrons passing through holes in a wall, do they converge or split? You need to do something. You need to have a real, original moment. In a world where matter cannot be created or destroyed, you need to prove you're real. And maybe you can do so by liking the video and subscribing to the FGS channel for more content just like this. If you're a fan of the genre I like to call stealth horror, games like Amnesia or Alien Isolation, or if you like co-op horror games like Phasmophobia or GTFO, then this is a game you should think about getting some friends together to check out.